Nikita here. Welcome to Lost the Plots Together live series. But today we're really excited because we're going to be speaking with a very interesting and very talented actor, Tanmay Dhanania. And I'm just waiting for him to sort of pop up. And oh, there he is. Yes, he's had 3 projects released this year. A wonderful indie called Catsticks, a short film called Delivering Smiles, which was part of a Netflix anthology. And hey, there
Hi,
you
hi.
are. Hey, hi Tanmay. How are you?
Yeah, good. It's been quite a crazy day, but yeah, I'm good.
That's good. That's good. Are you able to hear me? Fine.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Everything is good. So I was actually just kind of giving a small introduction about you to the people who
Ah,
joined in. I was just telling them about your 3 projects that have sort of, hit the airwaves this year. Um, Quite a crazy year to be having 3 projects out. How does that feel?
I mean, the thing is, they're coming out right now because I made them last year. So basically,
Right, of course.
actor, what happens is there's this sort of time gap from when you start
Mm-hmm.
shooting to when it comes
Mm-hmm.
out. And back in the
Mm-hmm.
day, or at least like I would never share things uh, online before actually the stuff came out. But nowadays, people like
Right.
put up pictures of themselves shooting as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like build up the whole thing. But then it takes like months for the stuff to come out, or sometimes years
Yeah.
for independent films.
Yeah,
So
that's
a
true.
couple of things that came out in the lockdown, like Catsticks, for example, and then Mafia were both like shot a long time ago.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
but the only thing that I made in the lockdown that came out in the lockdown was Delivering Smiles on Netflix.
Right, right.
So that was a lot of fun. That was definitely a great experience.
Yeah, yeah, that must have been pretty wild. Sort of,
Yeah.
just doing it all while everybody was locked down. I mean, I know you told me some great stories about it when I did the interview with you. Um, and I'm definitely going to come back to those and get you to tell them again to everyone who's tuned in. But I actually wanted to kind of start off by
Yeah.
chatting about this one thing I discovered about you.
Yeah.
You studied nuclear engineering at Berkeley, and then decided that you wanted to be an actor. So, I mean, how did that jump happen, or did you already know that you wanted to be an actor?
What happened was when I was 18, which was a long time ago, and I was this young boy in Calcutta, which there, even though I wanted to be an actor or study acting, there just wasn't that opportunity or that avenue
Hmm.
wasn't available to me, or at least I didn't know enough about how I can go about that path.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I was just very good at science, and when I say very good at science, I would add that I was very good at exams. Like I just know how to crack exams. There's a particular way to do it, especially Indian
Yeah.
exams.
Yeah.
And I just like knew how to crack exams, and I got a full score on my SATs. So I got a scholarship to
Wow.
Berkeley, and I just wanted to get out. I wanted to get out first and find myself. So I
Hmm.
went there, and of course, like midway through my engineering degree, I realized that acting is very close to me. I can't let go of it. And I
Hmm.
think there was this epiphanic moment about 2 years into it. I was in Argentina on a film and theater
Wow.
program, and I was at Iguazu Falls, and I was like, I'll never be happy unless I follow my heart. And that's when I decided I'll become an actor. But at the same time, I was on a scholarship and I wanted to finish my education, so I did study nuclear engineering for 2 more years.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I also minored in theater from Berkeley, and I did a lot of different
Wow.
shows there. And there again, I met some amazing teachers and co-actors who really encouraged me and said, "This is what you should do. Like you should really
Hmm.
pursue it." Just because it's not. I mean, talent is like part of it, but it's more like what makes you happy. And I
Hmm.
realized it's just like I need to follow my heart. Otherwise, I just won't be happy. So I think that's what happened. And then a lot of tough times followed after that. Like
Yeah.
I came to India with an engineering degree and told my parents that I'm gonna now do theater in Calcutta.
How,
Uh,
wow.
and I
What
went
was
like
that
came to
reaction like?
I mean, it was very hard to be honest. I mean, but I don't really blame my parents. I think like
Yeah.
it's a difficult choice to make for anyone.
Mm.
So they yeah, it was hard for
Mm.
them, but I just kind of was really bullheaded. I still am very bullheaded. So I
Yeah.
just went and I did what I wanted to do, and No, it was amazing. It was a really tough time in many ways. I was teaching theatre in schools as well at that time to make ends meet. But I was loving it. Some of my closest friends today are people I met at that time and I
Nice.
worked with in this theatre group called Tin Can. So that was amazing. And then I also worked a bit with some other groups in Calcutta, theatre groups. And then I decided like I really need to take the plunge properly, and I decided to train as an actor.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And that's how you, you enrolled at RADA in London. And
Enrolled is like it's kind of like making it too easy. Like I went through 4 rounds of auditions. It was very difficult as
yeah,
well.
I've heard it. It is one of the top acting and like art schools.
I mean, it's not just about, like it's ranked one of the top few, but it's because literally as an actor from India at that point of time, I didn't know any better. To be really honest with you, if I'd done more research, then I would have like found some other places as well. But I was like, RADA jana hai, kind of thing. And then, I was very lucky again. I got some support from a couple of people to go to London to like sort of, do the auditions, and there were 4 rounds of auditions, and I think. Something worked. I think I just really loved being there. I loved the audition part of it. And when they told me I'd got in, they said that I was very surprised, to be really honest, because there were people who were definitely better than me, so to speak. They were like grabbing attention and stuff like that. But they said that we liked that you listened and that you were having so much fun, that you were present. And that was a big, that was the first thing I learned from RADA, actually, that you have to enjoy what you do. If you're not enjoying it, don't do it. Why are you doing this job if you're not enjoying it? Definitely you're not getting paid for it. Like, not as much as other jobs. So you have to do it because you love it. Like, you have to love it and really be there and be present and listen. So, so that's why I think things worked out for me, to be really honest, with RADA. I mean, there's another whole sort of story behind that, but like, yeah.
So tell me, in all this time that, you were trying different things and kind of finding your grounding and stuff, what made you kind of hang on? Like, what made you, stick with it, basically?
Just the love for it. Like, I just couldn't, like, initially, I just couldn't not act. I was like, I just needed to, like, sort of be on stage mostly. Like, just this love, this addiction, which is like addiction. I realized that rush of getting on stage and, like, sharing breaths with somebody, which is what we can't do anymore in some ways, right? Sharing this atmosphere of people, like, sort of, it's an intake of breath that you share on stage, and that was just so beautiful for me and so addictive that I couldn't get out of it. Like, it was, I mean, I still like get super nervous before like going on stage or like even shooting stuff. There's still that those butterflies in my stomach, and that's what you live for, like you really want to do it. But yeah, over time, like obviously, like you form more as a person, and you realize that there's certain things you want to talk about and how you want to talk about them as well. And that's when you kind of start becoming more than just an actor. You start becoming more of an artist, where you have a point of view, and you have something to say, and you want to share that with people, or you're trying to find truth, and you're finding truth within yourself again. Like that's the first place to find truth in, and then kind of sort of speak that truth, I guess. Like try to just sort of, it becomes this quest to find what the reality of anything is.
The truth in that particular moment, maybe, because I feel that at least on a film set, of all the like many people that are involved in the making of even just one single scene, I think that like the actors have to be very, very present. You have to be like the most vulnerable, the actors, because that's like the moment.
Yeah, so I think in terms of being present, everyone has to be present on a film set. Like literally, in fact, more than actors, someone like a gaffer, someone like a DOP, someone like a director, if they lose their focus for a second, it all falls flat. So actually, I wouldn't claim that actors have to be focused totally. In fact, actors get time off.
To prepare for that.
Yeah, and you sort of like, you can sort of get away from it. But yes, what an actor needs, especially on a set or on stage or whatever, which the other people don't need so much of, is vulnerability. The just the ability, not the ability, but the readiness to show your true self. I think that's what makes people watchable. To like actually people who strip away things and are present and are like really again open to somebody looking into their souls. And that's easier said than done. You know, it feels like, I'm hungry now, I'm sad now, I'm happy now. I think, sure, it actually takes a lot of work to like, unlearn almost, to become childlike. Like children and animals are the most amazing things to watch because they're just totally in the moment. They're totally present. They're totally instinctive. And I think that's what, as actors, like the best actors that you'll see, when you meet them in person, you'll understand that how beautiful they are as human beings as well. They're like childlike, they just sort of will follow their impulses, do whatever they want, say whatever comes to them. And I think that's something which is not a simple thing to do, especially because the industry is such that when you're not acting, you have to be really strong and very in mode and make sure you're in because everyone's judging you on how you look and they're trying to get your rates down and they're like negging you basically to do work for the rates that they think apply to you and stuff like that. So the business side of things is the difficult bit for sure. When you're working, I mean, I have pure joy when I work. Like I'm a child. It's called a play. It's called a play.
That's so true. That's so true.
His dream is just to play and get paid for it, right? Like, but how to get paid is when you do all the other. Business.
I mean, I guess the dream is to be able to play in some ways also. I think that's for a lot of people. So since you've kind of acted and performed for stage as well as film, which do you prefer? And what are the kind of
children? Like it's like my first child is theater, and I was like, child, and then the second child came was very annoying. Like film was, to be honest with you, film was very difficult for me in the beginning, and I really didn't want to do it because I was like, like you have to like cut and like start again. The second acting, and then like you have to like just wait. It's a lot of waiting around. It was just like because I didn't understand the process that much. I wasn't into it. Like I enjoyed it, but like I still like film, and I still also now like film where the director gives me space to play, and like like they put the shot on, and then you can like sort of go for a long time. You can like really get into the pace of things. I think lots of cuts and like changing this, that, whatever. Then it's hard to maintain things, but at the same time, I've fallen in love with cinema. I mean, cinema I always loved. I mean, you and I spoke about this before. Like, love movies. I've always loved movies and movies. But banane mein itna mushkil hai. It's so difficult and hard. And I was telling somebody else that theater is beautiful because it's ephemeral. Like it's gone after it's, made. And film is beautiful because it's not. Because it's forever. So I realized that they're two sides of the same coin. And now, again, the work that I do, especially in film as well, I've used a lot of my theatrical background and training to work physically with films, and I like working with the body. Like, I mean, you've seen, like, so I really get into my work, and the way I kind of get into that space is I just stay in that space throughout, like rather than like, it's harder for me to switch off and then come
back in. How do you manage to stay in that character and then also step out of it when you need to,
So that's so it's two very interesting questions, and it's actually, there's a lot of factors at play, but basically it's not about like you're like on set and you're like, I have to stay in character, If you are aware that you have to stay in character, you're not staying in character. It doesn't work that way. Like, what happens, the way I work, I don't know, like, and this is different for every actor. I know amazing, brilliant actors who will be like, like making like stupid jokes right before the shot, and then they'll be like giving the best performance of their lives. And I envy them. Like because switch on, switch off, like actor Shashank, one of them. But for me, I mean, my focus, I need in order to have my focus and like that space to work, I really like to sort of be in it. And being in it is basically the preparation work that I do for a month, sometimes 2 months before. Where I just kind of like to not live the life, but actually like, because I don't like the term method acting as such. What I try to do is I do focused research where I do physically the things that this person does. So when you do physically these things, and physically you kind of cut your hair or wear the kind of clothes this person does,
Or
automatically it
grow a
changes.
mustache.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
grow a mustache.
Exactly. My friend Tom, who's a big influence in my life, they say that Tanmay always finds characters through facial hair first, and it's kind of true. Like I really think about what how does this guy style himself, whatever. That can be takeoff point. Like it's not like I don't just do it. What I'm trying to say is I don't do it to appear a certain way. I do that to feel a certain way. If I have this long hair right now because I've got a shoot tomorrow, which I need long hair for. I feel a certain way, and then if I cut my hair, I suddenly become very military, and I I start talking like that as well. It's a sensory based thing. Like just like wearing agra or wearing a sari or wearing a suit changes your physicality, right? Changes. The same with for garbage, like I wore the same clothes every day because this guy wore the same clothes every day, and I drove a taxi in Goa because this guy drives a taxi in Goa. And to do that, people's perception of you change, and that's why you change. Because people started treating me like a taxi driver. People would get in my car and and I realized that as Tanmay, there's a lot of privileges I take for granted. Like the fact that if it's raining, somebody will invite me indoors and give me a glass of water. As a taxi driver, I wasn't. Like, it was raining and I'd be waiting outside sometimes. People would invite me in. Like, I couldn't just be like, can I use your loo? Right? For a hire. So it's a very interesting a way, I think. I don't know. Like for me, it's really amazing because you get to also again live this world of a different person altogether. But I don't think that I'm like, no, only call me by my character's name and I'm who's Tanmay. I'm not Tanmay. That I think is stupid because on film, like you have to know one side of your brain is concentrating on where your marks are, like where the lights are and stuff. But that has to just become part of the flow. And once you have a character, like once you are the character, then all those things are just technical things that you do, and it's fine, So that's my a bit about how I work with things. But people have different ways of working through it as well, and I think whatever works really is the best. It's just pretty obvious sometimes when people are say not listening, for example, and that's bad acting.
That's interesting. So, you played such like distinct characters, and I remember when we spoke, I think I had mentioned that I watched Delivering Smiles, and of course I'd watched Catsticks, and I did not make the connection at all that you are the same actor, and I told you this, and you had said to me that, well, that's like the I guess the irony of being an actor, where you have to slip into a character and become that character, and at the same time you have to kind of build a brand, for yourself as an actor. So I wanted to know your take on that bit.
I mean, yes. So basically, the short answer is I found out the hard way that actually me changing so much for different parts leads me to actually not being that well known and also not getting that much work. Because what happens is, and I don't want to find fault with people. I think people have different ways of working. And at least in this industry, what happens is like, you see somebody, you recognize somebody, you see like, oh, this is what they can do. And then people kind of want that and they want to repeat that. So, say for example, after Catsticks, I got a lot of parts offered to me where like they really wanted a thin person. I even got offered an ad where like, I had to play this person who had muscle loss, like muscle deficiency. Because they saw Catsticks and they're like, it's the muscle loss. But the thing is, when I went to the audition, I had weight because I was doing this martial arts show with Q, like 0 kilometers. So I was like, I was like muscled up and but no, not fixed. I said, no, you called me. This is Tanmay. Tanmay? So that happens. And like you said, people don't like, again, like I'm not saying I'm Rajkumar Rao, but like you think of Rajkumar, you're like, okay, he's done this. Nawaz has done this.
Yeah.
And I think I'm like one of those actors. Like obviously, like they're amazing actors and they've really worked hard and they're super talented and whatnot. But yeah, because I spend a lot of time with my work, and like sometimes when I do independent films, actually I switch off my phone, and for 2-3 months I like to spend that time, and that's my fun. I enjoy it. It's not like I'm like doing it for the craft of the art. I am, but I love that part of it as well.
Yeah.
I just enjoy it too much, and I kind of just go with the flow. So So it is difficult, I think, in that respect to sort of then have that continuity, so to speak. People always want to then test you out for things. They're not sure how you are or what you are looking like.
Yeah.
And they just see the last thing that they saw. They're like, "Acha, ye banda bhi ye kar sakta hai." And again, I've been lucky enough to work in different languages. I worked in the UK television industry for a long time, where I spoke like chaste English, and so it was a big jump for me actually to come back to India and like start working Hindi again. And delivering for me was a big step for me because I feel like for the first time I did something in Hindi properly, and like people accepted me as a Hindi speaking person as well. I mean, I've done Hindi work before as well, but again, I didn't want to sort of be untrue about those characters. So I think I tried something because I had that space and time to get into those things. But it's still difficult again. Like, I can't show Delivering Smiles to a UK casting director because they will not think at all that I can.
That you can also.
English character like Made in Heaven. Like I played like almost a British Indian character.
Yeah.
With a sort of English slang to it. And that's I don't know, I don't want to call it a problem with the industry. I think that's just how it works. There's hundreds and thousands of actors. People are super, super talented here. There's everybody comes to work. Say it's similar in LA actually, and in London as well. There's so many actors, and there's ways of things, that are happening. I've been very lucky because the work I've got and where I've really got space to like explore myself has been work where directors have trusted me and my work. And they've just been, you do your thing, and they have auditioned me. So all like Catsticks, Garbage, Brahman I did audition for, but Q like wanted me from the beginning. Like he sort of like, he wanted me to be for sure. So they gave me that space. Delivering Smiles, Tanmay like gave me the part. Like nobody would cast me as this guy. Trust me. If they took an audition of me, they would never cast me as this guy. And she's like, I asked her like, why do you think I can do this guy? Like, So that gives you space to play, and then and then I can like sort of enjoy myself and do.
I mean, it honestly it doesn't. To me, it sounds like all of these directors have really trusted your versatility, and I think in some ways that's great, no? Because often in our industry, especially, it's so easy to get typecast, like you were saying, where people come to you for the same role again and again and again. And I remember, Richa Chadda saying something like that after like her Masan also, and like she just constantly kept getting the same role. So it's interesting to see that there is space within Indian cinema for completely the other experience as well, like yours, where all your projects have been so different, and you've been able to kind of really get into very, very different characters and work with very different characters.
Yeah, I mean, I've been super, super lucky. I really can't like complain about things in terms of the work that I've been able to do and like, being able to explore. I mean, obviously there's like heartbreaks and stuff. I do have to add though that I am very privileged because I still am a North Indian male in this industry. And I think women, obviously, it's much harder for them anywhere in the world. But in this industry, like it's very difficult, and like Richa is an amazing, amazing actor, and I totally
she's
so good. And I'm sure like she must have had a lot of issues.
Yeah,
like, I mean,
completely different.
So many female friends of mine are actors, or actors friends of mine, and there's horror stories. There's like this stuff. Not just about casting, any other things around it. So
it's not that easy being a girl.
Yeah,
for sure. But tell me, so which of your of all the characters that you've kind of played so far, which one was your I guess favorite to play and like to get invested in? Because I know you spent like around 6 months getting into the character for Catsticks, where you're like really, I mean, the whole film is such a gritty film. So I wanted to kind of know about that.
I mean, firstly, again, like to like choose between my characters is again like choosing between my children. Like it's really hard to give a favorite stuff because I really enjoyed it for very different reasons. And Catsticks was a spiritual journey for me. Yes, I know I sound really like spiritual journey, but like it was a very spiritual journey for me. It wasn't 6 months. how it started off was because I wanted to express myself in other ways in Calcutta. And I met Ronny, the director, around that time. And it was very interesting how we met and stuff. And then I had these ideas about how to explore the body. And one of the first ideas I had with him was that I want to explore the idea of withdrawal. Like we were talking about drugs and all these obvious things. And like, I want to explore the idea of withdrawal. And for that, because I wasn't actually hooked on to hard drugs at that point of time, or I never actually have been hooked on to hard drugs. I've tried things. Right. But at that point of time, what I said is, in order to recreate that feeling of withdrawal, I was a chain smoker that time. So I said, I'm going to shut myself in a room. You stay with me and you film me for a week, and I'm going to quit smoking, and I will and I'll drink water, but I won't eat also. So that was a thing. Like I just wanted to explore. Like I've been Marina Abramovich, and there's performance artists who have sort of And Ronny is also an artist. Like he comes from that kind of like he's
an amazing photographer.
So I said that, but like for whatever reasons we didn't go into that space. But Ronny and I, and then Sumit Thakur, who's also in the film, who's also one of my dearest friends and an amazing actor. We started exploring. We started experimenting with the form. With like what can we do. And then Ronny wrote the film with my other friend Kanti, and then we started the process of working with the character when the script came back to me, so to speak. So when the script came to me again, like because I work with the body and I had this idea already of like exploring this withdrawal idea, I was like, how can I play this part? Because again, Ronny had showed me pictures of like addicts and like instead especially heroin addicts and patta khors who are like really like they're really gone. And I just like I wanted to again not just like the way it looks. I didn't want to go towards the way it looks, but I needed to get into that body to get to see how it feels, and I wanted to push the boundaries. To be really honest with you, yes, like I'm not very excited about things that don't challenge me, and I'm not very excited about things that are not breaking the mold. I think like I like to experiment a lot. I love experimenting. I think two of my favorite filmmakers are the Coen brothers, and when they won their Oscar, they said that we are just happy that the industry has let us play in our corner of the sandbox. And that's how I identify. Like, if you let me play in my experimental space, then I'll do like mainstream stuff as well. You give me money, I'll do it. Why not? But I experiment and play, and like I am much more happy making something original and new and failing at it than doing something really well, but it's like kind of copied or
the
like
same thing.
So that's where I come from. Again, like I privileged to follow that, to be able to follow that. A lot of people don't have that privilege, so I appreciate that. But yeah, so Catsticks, I think the process was like I basically stopped eating. Like like I cut down like food a lot, and I started living like this guy. I didn't do the drugs that much, or not at all. I can't tell you. But what I did do was I started living very cheaply because all the money that addicts have goes towards drugs.
Towards the habit.
So I kind of put myself on 50 rupees a day, like everything, like food and transport and whatever. So transport was basically no transport. I walked everywhere. So even if I had to go like 16 kilometers away for a rehearsal or something, I would walk. And I was eating a bowl of dal and a couple of eggs a day for, I think the last month was just this. But I worked up to it. Like, it was a 3-month process where first I quit all sweets. And actually, like after a month after you quit sugar, like anywhere you fly, you're on a different high. It's the most ecstatic thing to feel, actually, quitting sugar.
Really?
So, yeah. So I quit sugar and like, and same with garbage. I quit sugar for garbage as well. And again, like, there's this sort of beautiful ecstasy that you find. And then I hadn't researched much about method actors losing weight when I did Catsticks. But since then, when I read up about like Joaquin Phoenix, who's one of my favorite actors in The Joker, and Christian Bale in The Machinist, they both describe the same state of like, this peace of mind, this like really flowing, like kind of beautiful space that you enter because you kind of take away any of the excess stuff. Like there's nothing excess. So it wasn't just about looking like that part, but obviously once I got there, then because Shreya Dev Dubey and Ronny are amazing artists, the way they captured me, and all of us actually, because we all like, I made everyone like staff, even though everyone didn't follow my crazy regimen. But I was also the acting sort of kind of guy, like I ran the workshops as well, along with Joy Raj, who also is plays in the movie. So that was a process for me. I think I was going through a tough time as well. Brahman had come out, but I just wanted to like again explore myself in a different way, and I just decided to switch off. I done a couple of ads and stuff and whatever, and it was good. The ads gave me money, and I appreciate ads, but like I had kind of taken away my focus from work. So I went back to the sort of it was like a sabbatical. I don't know what the word is. Like a retreat. Like I just kind of went into the space and took my time with it, and yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful time for me. But honestly speaking, all my independent movies like Brahman, Garbage, and Catsticks have been amazing processes for me. I mean, I've got paid the least amount for them from all my other work, but that's why, because like I can express myself, I can have fun, and I can hopefully
you have your own.
Yeah, as you said, like try to make
spot
something
in the
new.
sandbox. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it, honestly, it really shows. I mean, Catsticks was for me, honestly, and I told Shreya this also. Actually, we had one of these conversations with her as well, and when I was watching it, it was difficult to watch. Even though it's such a beautiful film, it was not easy to watch. Simply because, like, we're so unaware of that life, like an addict's life. Like, I watched a few interviews with Ronny also where he says that they are social outcasts, and it's very, very true. And so it took some time for the film to kind of sink in for me. But all of you guys did such an incredible job. I mean, right from like the way it's shot to like, your acting and some of the sequences, like the needle dance, the heroin dance scene, that was incredible. So definitely it shows, that's amazing. So, talking about how deeply kind of involved you get in your characters, what is the process like getting out of character? Because once the project is over, it must take some time and energy to kind of get out of that character. And it's something that most people don't kind of talk about,
There is. I think the way the analogy I draw is like it's kind of like a crash after the high, like because you're running on adrenaline as well, and also like a postnatal depression, like you've given birth, and then you kind of like kind of sink down, and it is hard for me, for everyone. I think like people who, like after you finish something, like it's not hard. Basically, I need a couple of weeks to reset for sure. I would like a couple of weeks. Sometimes I don't get that time, but yeah, that you just, I guess, like do the things that you have not been doing. So like if you've not been smoking, smoke some cigarettes. If you've not been drinking, then drink some alcohol. If you've not been eating food, for Catsticks, my like breaking off my fast with my co-actor Shauna Kundu, who's like, I love you. Like we literally devoured like 5-6 parathas, like right after when they said cut and it was our final shot. We just like, oh boy, I made him also like go through his diet. Like,
oh my god!
Like he wasn't supposed to eat anything before that. And he
that
also
meal
really
must have tasted amazing.
Yeah, but yeah, we ate, and like like it took some time, and for Catsticks, because physically I changed so much. To be really honest, it took a long time for me to sort of exit that space completely. But at the same time, like I think it was important for me, like to go through that space, and like it really gave me a lot of clarity in terms of like how I wanted to pursue my work, and I think like it's required, like I think that kind of a zone. But at the same time, yeah, I think coming out of it, if you give me a couple of weeks and like and I just binge watch stuff and like eat pizza and like drink, like what we all do when we're like bored or like slightly depressed or whatever, then that's it. I need that time, and then again like on to the next, and or like a holiday, like going somewhere, like going to the beach or whatever, like those things can help you come out of it. But yeah, it's I don't think it's a darkness as such. I think it's just a sort of a pulling away of the excitement for a while. And It's fine. I mean,
I
I've
think
come to deal with it.
I think for a lot of you know, especially this year, I feel like a lot of people have felt maybe this kind of feeling or a similar kind of
Yeah.
feeling where you just have to stay, you know, you have to kind of just let everything that you're feeling and everything
Yeah.
that you're normally has a way of like expressing and has an avenue to get out of you. Um, you know, this year none of us have had it, so it's been, I think maybe that's the closest that I can think of, you know, as a comparison to what you're describing, where this whole year we've had to kind of like make still our energies and all of these things that we have inside.
Definitely.
Um,
Definitely.
yeah,
But I think, I mean, to be really honest, I've had a great time. You know, like
yeah,
it's, uh, I think because and again, people say like, oh, you were so productive or something, but I wasn't, it was not being productive. I just realized that actually, as actors, again, especially in Bombay, like you're constantly working. And when you're constantly
mm,
working, you're not just like working on a project. You're
mm,
working, like, you're handling calls, there's like auditions coming in, that is happening, like your dates are getting shifted around.
mm.
All of these things are constantly happening. I was getting at least two calls a day for new projects, and then you try to figure out all these
Wow.
things at the same time.
Mm,
And but also it's not like, I mean, I'm getting all these calls, but it's also because there's a lot of auditions and things that were happening at that time.
yeah,
And
yeah.
in some ways, actually, I realized the peace of mind that I got when, like, auditions stopped coming. And I know it sounds counterintuitive. As an actor, you want auditions to be coming in, but when they stopped coming in, I realized, like, wow, there's all this time and space. That's when I started reading again. I quit smoking. Like, I started playing my flute a lot more. And I think because of that sort of good energy that I had, that's why Delivering Smiles happened. That's why I played somebody, like, finally, who's not a dark, depressive character who tries to kill everyone around them. So I think that's what reflected in that as well.
Yeah,
And I
there was a
think
real
what
joyfulness in
again,
that
I
character.
yeah, and I understand that I was lucky to get that, because obviously it's been a tough year for actors. Again, I'm keep on talking about actors. I'm sure it's been a tough year for everyone. But like
Yeah,
you said,
yeah.
the energy you drew about actors and stuff, it's been really tough. And like, I mean,
Mm,
people have a lot of people have moved away. People have like sort
yeah,
of really, anyway, we have like a tendency towards sort of going up and down a lot. Like we
yeah,
kind of like sort of
yeah,
puts us through that. So it can
yeah.
be quite hard. But throughout, I think, whenever I spoke to somebody, I always tried to like tell them this side of things. And
Mm,
I think
mm,
a lot of people did recognize that actually there is a positive to it as well
yeah,
for for
yeah.
for, uh, for actors, especially in this industry. Like like you. I mean, I learned how to bake. I started baking and stuff like that. Like I would have never done that. I would have never
Yeah,
read the
that's
preface
awesome.
to my favorite books now, which is like 600 pages long.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, yeah. It's been
so
nice
I
to
think,
have the time off.
yeah, it's time off and time spent with yourself and time spent being uh, self-dependent, independent, which are
Mm,
all things I think are required for your craft,
as an actor.
which we
Right,
forget.
right.
We think about. We think we just have to, like, the more work we do, the better we get. It's not always the
Mm,
case. You
mm,
need to step away from it. You need to get out.
right.
I feel. I mean, again,
Yeah,
people.
get some perspective.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
in Delivering Smiles, you know, you did a whole bunch of other things too. Because the article you talked about how you guys used
yeah,
V-Fast delivery phones, and but you were also kind of recording stuff and doing sound recording and all of that other
yeah,
stuff, and of course your own costume and
yeah.
uh, sort of like the art design in your apartment and all of that. So, how was that experience? You know, having that extra bit of control, I guess.
Word liberating.
Yeah.
Sorry. I hope people don't like take this the wrong way, but like, oh my god, finally you trust me. It's about trust. Like,
Mm,
it's like, when somebody micro directs you, and like, there's like 5 layers of that sometimes on like
mm.
commercial. There's the director, the agency, the clients, and
ADs, yeah,
all have a point of view.
yeah.
It's That's where I worked, like, like you can't really have the freedom. So like, to get that freedom, to get that space, and like, like to really show people that, like, trust me with it and let me do it, was amazing. And I'm not discounting anyone's jobs here. Like, everybody does a very important job on set. It actually
Yeah.
comes together because we have complete trust in each other that things get made so well. But in this case, like, it was just amazing because Tanvi, I mean, she's just such an amazing friend. And I've worked with her before, and she's just so amazing to work with. She just gives me the space. Even if we disagree, like, I will actually, like, she's one person, I'd be like, no, I think because of this. And then she said, no, I think because of this. And we come to some space where we do listen to each other. We're not just shouting and screaming, like saying, nahi, like, it's going to be my way or the highway. So, things that, like, we could discuss and, like, we could find the reality of things. But at the same time, I had full control. Like, if I want to, like, do it, my phone is saying low battery, but I think it's fine. So if I didn't want to do something, I just wouldn't. I would kind of, like, be like, this is the way we want to do it. But at the same time, like, if they weren't happy with it, I would, like, find different ways to do it. And I think that was great also for me because already I work with the camera a lot. I work with like, again, like, I kind of work with the boundaries of between acting and performance and theater and art as well. So I am, like, exploring these things more and more nowadays. I always have in some ways, but, like, haven't, like, fully expressed myself in them. But there are things that I keep working with, and I work with the camera a lot. I work with video stuff a lot, and video artwork I work with. So that was a really interesting thing for me to do. It was a really fun kind of challenge again. And again, also I learned that, it's not that simple, like, because you have to get the focus. Because focus is, if you don't have focus, you don't have a shot. So I understand, like, those things are difficult. But once you got right, it worked out, like, it was like, okay, get the focus, like, like, check the focus, sit there. And again, as I said before, because this character was also in real life filming himself, it was easier. Just part of my process. To, like, focus. Was Prakash checking the focus rather than Tanmay checking the focus.
Right.
Camera rolling, that the how it begins was actually like, it's I don't know where Prakash ends and Tanmay starts there. Because I was doing that. I was like, okay, camera roll, sound is on, chalo karte. And then we like that so much that we, like, incorporated that into the character himself.
Right.
The helicopter came. Like, I was fucking in my building compound, my neighbors are thinking, what the fuck is going on with this guy? Like, wearing a Swiggy costume and, like, eating fucking biryani in the lockdown. And, like, I set up the camera. I had, like, 10 minutes to do the shot before the guards would come chase me off. And I picked it up, and this helicopter started brrr. And again, as a sound recordist, you know that when the helicopter comes, you stop.
You can't do anything.
Cut kiya. Mera shot is not But you have to cut. So as Prakash and as Tanmay, like, making the sound recording, I was like, I have to cut, like, like, but, like, thankfully I did, like, turn off the camera. I was just like, helicopter, let's make it. So those are some of the best moments in the thing, like, because it's actual real things, and that's the reality that we all chase, right? We want to find truths, we want to find something that's real, which is why, like, I mean, I talk about this a lot, but I love mistakes. Like, like, my first acting teacher in the States, Reed Davis, used to say, we love mistakes. And I never understood him. I was like, why mistakes? I was an engineer. I was doing, like, if one mistake and the whole rocket blows up, you can't make mistakes. And then I realized, like, if you don't make mistakes, then how are you real? And how are you human? And especially, some of the most beautiful moments are mistakes or things that weren't meant to happen and really shock you in real life. So anytime that happens now, like, like, I've learned to work with it and, like, like, to, like, not say cut and, like, and the best directors will never cut. If you fuck up as an actor, they will never cut. They will just keep on rolling. And you'll see, like, what amazing things come out of that. So I think spontaneity is something which is really hard to find on film. Definitely much more on film, because on stage you have that continuity at least. Like, like, but on film, it is very hard to find. But that's why, like I said, like, I use my process of being in the part beforehand, but also, like, in the space, just rolling with it. Like, just kind of not worrying about other things or what I'm looking like. Kashan was talking about this as well, also in one interview I saw, where, like, you have to, like, not worry about what you look like, which is why this is hard for me, because I can see myself and I'm like, God,
so distracted.
So I'm very distracted by this, but, like, on camera, like, you can't see yourself. And I don't watch my shots. I only if I have to, I watch it, but I don't watch my shots to see how I should change it, because I don't think that's good. I do watch my stuff once it comes on, but again, after watching it once, I don't like watching it again, because then you're just like, oh my god, that's so bad. Oh my god, that's an unreal moment. Because you can't maintain reality throughout.
Yeah. And of course, in hindsight, you see the best of everything, right? Like, so in hindsight, you're always going to feel that, like, this could have been done better, or this could have been done differently, or
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I mean, yeah, and that's the other thing with acting on camera. Actually, I just want to share one anecdote. My first, so what? Okay, I'll tell you a little bit. Actually, this might be interesting for you and everyone. Uh, when I was in London and I just graduated from RADA, and I have an agent, Michelle Braidman, love you, Michelle, in the UK. And basically, what happened was, right then the visa laws changed, and that's why I couldn't do theatre. And I was cast in like these amazing theatre productions at the Royal Court, and I couldn't do them because of the visa laws changing. So she said, I'm going to put you up for like some BBC television stuff. And I said, I don't want to do television. Like, I don't know. I'm not good at it. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I auditioned. I did a terrible audition for the BBC, but I got the part. So I go on set,
Wow.
and like I read the script, and there is one scene where, like, I have to break down and cry. And again, like, actors have this thing of like, crying on camera. Yeah, crying on camera, bro. Like, this whole thing. Which actually is stupid. It doesn't really mean anything. But at that point of time, I was fresh out of drama school. I was like, I want to show my skill set.
Yeah.
So what happened was, right before that scene was shot, the director came up to me and he said, I don't need this scene if you don't want it. Like, I'm happy with what we've got. And he said, but if you want to do this scene, then we can do this. And I was like, yes, I'd like to do this scene. So getting into my space, and like, and the director was like, quiet on set, everyone quiet on set, don't move, actor working. And I'm like, wow, this is really good. And I'm like waiting. And then I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And then I'm like sitting there, and this guy comes and puts his hand on my shoulder, and I start crying, and and I fully broke down, properly crying. And I remember thinking, I'm like, yes, I'm crying, yes, got it, amazing. And then cut to like 8 months later, when this is playing on television, I'm sitting with my friends, like my television debut, whatever, and we're watching this. I'm like, wait, the best part is coming. And that scene wasn't in the final product.
Oh no.
And I was like heartbroken. I was like, ye kaise ho sakta hai? But then the more you about film, what you realize is that as an actor, you really have to trust the director's vision. You really have to trust the, everyone you're working with, and understand that even if you did the best acting in that one shot, if the rhythm of the film wasn't served by it, then it doesn't mean anything. So actually, what you see on screen sometimes are not the bestest shots.
Right.
But having said that, some of the best directors and the editors also, Manas Mittal, who edited Brahman, for example, he's one of those. They put in the shots in which the actors have done the most real acting, even if they have made a mistake. And I think that's amazing. Like, rather than getting the perfect take, if you like get the best sort of real one. But at the same time, the rhythm, I think, is very important of storytelling. Like, if you're like sort of, and you can see these performances. Again, like the way our industry works, you can see performances by these leading actors, like where they've cut out all the supporting parts, and the leading actor is just going on and on and on and crying in every scene and laughing in every scene, and like, and,
it's a very clunky kind of approach.
The first time I saw you, Ravi, kitna baar ho gaya? Har scene mein tumhara like, किसी और का शॉट ही नहीं लगाया तुमने, क्लोजअप डाला ही नहीं किसी और का, like, so what is the point?
It's more of a show and tell situation, to be honest, rather than a...
It's like, we are all in on the fact that you're telling me a story, which is not, which I appreciate also. I appreciate that, but that's not how I like to approach things. I like to like sort of just be in the space, and the story is telling itself, because I am being the most real version of this space that I can be. So,
right, for the story, nice, we have quite a few people who've joined in. So, this person has said a quote by Nasruddin Shah, where he said, if you'd rather die, if not act, only then join the profession, because it's a heartbreaking profession. What is your take on this?
Oh my God, that's a really profound question. But firstly, I must
very
reply to Nasir And Nasir trolls me a lot, by the way, on Instagram. I'm gonna out him right now. Like he's got this handle which he uses, which is like Motley ka handle he uses, and he trolls me.
Yeah.
So anyway, getting mad at me. But yeah, Nasir,
You're
amazing.
some fodder for him then.
I just love, obviously, like, I mean, who doesn't love Nasir Shah? And
Yeah.
like, I again had the immense privilege of working with him. And now we are friends and we talk about cricket all the time. So I'm really happy about that as well. So, yes, I think it is a very, very, very difficult profession. And when I say profession, I mean the other stuff. I mean the world around it. And it is heartbreaking. It is really like heartbreaks galore, because the most difficult thing about being an actor is that you have to be very, as I said, very vulnerable when you're acting, and when you're working, you have to really expose your innermost self. And as soon as you're doing the other stuff, the business end of things, you have to be like strong and like be like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna like not scared, like like what you say about
like your Jekyll and
and
Hyde
that's hard. Like
version.
in an audition, like it is a very, 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 it can be a very heartbreaking profession, but I think you have to manage your own expectations firstly, and you have to focus on the work. Those are the two things I would say. Like like I think you have to understand it's not academic. You might be the best actor out there and not get into RADA. You might be the best actor out there and not get any work. And on the other hand, somebody who doesn't even want to do this, or like sort of has a lot of YouTube hits or whatever, can suddenly be a huge star, and that's okay. That's fine. Like you can't judge those people, because it's you would take that opportunity if somebody said like you don't know anything about art, but we want you to do something artistic because we can sell it. You would do it and take the money or whatever, take the fame as well. So I think you have to just sort of manage those things, and you have to like not be in competition with people around you. I don't think you should be in competition with yourself. You should just express yourself, and hopefully you have a good manager who can handle the other side of things. Or if not, just try to find that way of like not. I would say give too much patta to this industry bullshit. वो बकवास है.
Yeah.
Actually बकवास है. Just don't play the game. Work. Work hard. And if you are actually happy working, then what are you worried about? काम नहीं मिल रहा.
What you said about competition, because there's another great question around that, where they're asking, this person is asking, should an aspiring actor fear competition? Because it's a really big deterrent, because like you said, there are so many actors and creative people out there, and our industry is not a meritocratic industry at all. So should an actor fear competition?
I think no. The short answer is no. Like, because if you're fearing competition, then you're getting stuck with not important, and it's going to take away from your craft and your work. So you have to not sort of get into that space. It is difficult, obviously. You see, again, social media is really difficult, because again, like you see like another actor like stuff, like you're like, oh my god, इसको कैसे काम मिल रहा है? अरे ये इसको कैसे मिल गया? मुझे ऑडिशन भी नहीं किया, या मैंने ऑडिशन किया था बताया नहीं मेरे को. All these things happen all the time, and like literally on a daily basis. On a daily basis, like this happens with me. Like still it happens, but like the background, and it takes, again, it's like a breakup. Like an audition like that you really wanted and नहीं मिला. You're like, यार बहुत दुख, मैं देखूंगा ही नहीं. ये फिल्म तो मैं नहीं देखूंगा, मैंने audition किया था इसके लिए. And then after a couple of months you get over it, because it's the same thing for you. What you have got, like hundreds of other actors would be like looking, delivering smiles and being like, it's not about that. I think like you just have to like enjoy the work. You can't fear anything actually as an actor. The best actors are fearless, completely fearless. You can't have fear. Fear is detrimental to acting, I think. Like like again, like Shashank, Jim, like again, I love him. Like like as a person as well. Like he's fearless. And again, my friend Frank Delane, he's an actor in the UK, brilliant. Like like he just doesn't have any fear. They'll just jump. They'll just sort of go for it. And that's such a beautiful thing to watch also. And like like this, like it's a moh maya mein mat ghuso. Like don't have to get into this like weird all these things. Again, Sumit Thakur is one of the best actors I know. He's a great friend of mine, and like he stays away from all this stuff. You know, he's a musician as well. Like he plays music and stays out of the whole game thing. And like, but yeah, to be honest with you, there was a time where like after Brahman especially, like I became like sort of very sought after commercially as well in terms of ads at least, and like and I was and I'm very lucky because I got paid a lot of money for these ads and stuff, and I'm happy I did them. But I'm also kind of happy that now I don't pursue that much. Like I barely go for auditions for ads, for example. Like like if they really want me for it, then like I'll send them a test maybe from home. But even that I'm kind of not doing nowadays because it's like just too much stuff that you're playing with and playing with yourself. So you have to find that balance, I think, of just doing things because you like doing it. And if you're not enjoying something, again, going back to the first thing I said, don't do it. If you don't like it, just don't do it. There's no point. I know a lot of actors who are brilliant actors who quit being actors and are much happier now as well. But they realized that they were unhappy being actors.
Okay, so there's one question. Thankfully, Robin has reposted his question. Thank you, Robin. His question is, does every project give an actor the opportunity to immerse themselves in the characterization process, especially the way you do it?
No.
Short answer.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's again, I reiterate that I've been lucky enough to like get that space from the directors and the movies I've worked on. And also, it is important to do the projects where you don't have time to get characters as well. And like you have to find, again, as an actor, it's your job to find quick things that you can do to enter the space and be able to do that.
Is that to kind of keep your kind of keep you on your feet in terms of craft, or apart from, of course, the monetary aspect, but does that help at all in terms of keeping your craft fresh? These kind of
yes, I think it's something to do with craft for sure, but it's also about, okay, I'll give you an example. My acting teacher John Biskidza, again I'm naming all these names because I haven't talked about them in such a long time. At RADA, he spent a year working with us on like getting the truth of things, like getting like, real and like finding that. Is Shreya?
Yeah, Shreya's here.
Yeah. I think she's gone. So we spent a year working on like how to get this truth out of somebody. And then I remember like, just one person wasn't being able to do it. And then he's like, just act then. And we're like, what? We can act, we have to be real. And then he's like, no, your job as an actor is to act. Like, if you can't get it through all these other things, then just act it. And sometimes in the acting of it, you might find some reality. So it's something which so it's your job. Basically, the short answer is it's your job. And especially like if it's a financial exchange, then you have to do your job. You cannot be like, "Aaj mood nahi kar raha, aaj mera character like you can't say all these things. You have to be there and deliver, and you have to like do well. You can't just be like, "Aaj itna maza nahi aaya." Obviously, there are days where you do much better. Like on stage, like you do like 15, 20 shows sometimes, and 1 or 2 are spectacular, 10 are okay, 5 are so-so, and 1 or 2 are disasters. But that's fine. You just still have to like do well. Like as a professional actor, you get paid again to not fuck up that much. It's different from making mistakes. Mistakes is fine, but like you have to like sort of deliver. You have to deliver the goods. It has to work.
Correct.
So whatever works. Like I have a shoot tomorrow, which literally I got the day before, and right before this I had my costume trial and stuff. And after this, I'm going to read my script properly for the first time, and then I have to get on set and do it. And actually, it's exciting because it is like kind of like it's like speed chess, rather than like so Instead
of the long strategy. That's interesting. I haven't actually heard that one before. Okay, here's another. Should uncertainty stop you from becoming an actor? I mean, I know it didn't deter you at all, but
uncertainty is a very interesting thing to talk about because yes, if you're not certain that you want to be an actor, then you should not be an actor for sure. It has to really like I think that first initial impulse ki mujhe yahi karna hai, you need to have, I think, to pursue it professionally. Because otherwise it will not work. I think with anything, but I think that's true of anything in the world that you want to do.
Yeah,
you have to really want to do it. If you're like, try kar lete hain kind of thing, then that profession, whatever it is that you're trying out, will treat you the same way. Like, isko bhi try kar lete hain, and then whatever, and chhod de. It is a commitment. It's a commitment that you make. And then when you want to move away from it, you can move away. You can take a sabbatical, or you can, like, as I said, you can quit also later on. But when you want to do it, you have to like commit to it with everything. For anything, I don't want to sort of say acting, yeah, artist banna mein, like, you need more commitment. I think nuclear engineer all commitment chahiye to like pursue that life. To be an entrepreneur is crazy, like entrepreneurs do. And so if they like work that hard and then they make a lot of money, like, because they worked very hard and they were convinced that they wanted to make money. I envy that. I lack that, in some ways, and I get taken for a ride a lot because like I'm like, baad mein dekh lenge paise ke bare mein. But like it's something that you have to aspire to really a lot, and if you're aspiring to that, then I don't judge you. Do it like even like the mainstream actors, the commercial actors, so to speak, or people who do like just commercial work. I don't judge them. I'm very different from them, but I am like, man, full respect for you. Like like you know what you want, and you're going for it, and you are like like doing everything. They're actors, again, I don't want to name names because people will feel bad about it or whatever. But I'm genuinely saying these actors, they're actors who do everything. They'll do like, amazing, like high class stuff, and then they'll do really like stuff which I'm like, ye kyun kar rahe hain and all that. And that judgment should not be there. Because they I envy them, because I'm like, wow, like, you don't judge the work. You're working. And that's actually, in a very interesting way, it's a very beautiful thing.
Yeah, like, you have to be able to have that discipline and sort of grit to treat it professionally.
Because also like I think it's also a job. Like, what is important as an actor is to make a living through acting. If you're not making a living through acting, then I don't think you should call yourself an actor. I'm sorry, like, it's a difficult thing that I'm saying. You can like be and like, I didn't make any money the first 3 years because I was like, training. But you have to identify yourself. What I'm trying to say is you have to identify yourself as somebody who's in it to make a living out of it. If you're doing it as a hobby, then you're not an actor. Come on, like, like it's a hobby, and I love people who have hobbies. I like baking. I'm not a chef.
You won't call yourself
like I'm definitely not a flautist. Like, I like to play because I love to play. So you have to love the profession. You have to love acting, and you have to be, you have to commit to it. I think if you're uncertain, I'm not saying don't do it. Like, find that certainty. Find that, like, to be like, right, this is what I'm going to do, and take the plunge. I think halfway house nahi chalega, because it is too competitive. It's too hard. It's just like it's a jungle out there. Ye nahi hota hai, like, you have to go all in.
It is, and I think in some ways, that's sort of true, like you said, across the board as well. And totally. It's something that I when I started Lost the Plot, like, it was, of course, I was like fresh out of college, and I was like, oh, in 3 or 4 years I'm just gonna be like a high roller somewhere. But that's not how it works. You have to have a gestation period, so you have that initial bit of uncertainty. It is like unsafe in a way. It's not a safe option to be an actor or a filmmaker, or in some cases an entrepreneur also. But like you said, if you know from the start that that's what you want to do, then you should kind of do it.
Yeah, I think people say that, like, about me, at least people have said like, oh, you're so brave to follow your dreams and stuff. And the way I put it was like, no, I wasn't brave. I was too weak not to follow my heart. I was like, yahi karne mein maza acha. It's like an addiction. Like, I gave in. I was like, nahi, mujhe yahi karne do. So I think that's what you have to find. You have to find the weakness. That's your weakness, your weak point ki yahi karna hai. And then you should do it. Like, like, it's not, I don't think you should think of it like I am going to bravely forego money and become an actor. Like, that's not why you should do it. You should do it because you want to do it really badly. And then, you have to build a career, so to speak, because it's important, especially for someone like me. I realized very early on, not very early on, but in the last few years at least, I've realized that if I am someone like me, especially, if I am not also making money from my profession, then actors who want to work like me and experiment and stuff will be like, nahi, ye to experiment only he can do because if you're broke. And that's not the case. I think there has to be a way to find in any industry a space where, like, you make your compromise is a very bad word. I hate that word. But like, you have to
Your
find a way
balance.
to walk that line where you are actually taking everything forward together. So then you can like, even with indie films, you find a way to get paid. Brahman, when it went on Netflix, I was sad because I was like, what the fuck? मेरी film theater पे नहीं आएगी 4 साल पहले की बात है. Nobody knew what Netflix was. India में Netflix आया नहीं.
Yeah.
So समझ में नहीं आया. And then I realized that actually again, like, I'm not talking about the film as whatever. Like, I don't want to talk about like देखो मैंने क्या किया है. But the fact that we were the first film to be Asia's first Netflix original, which is
it was
on this whole online. If you don't think about web series and all these online films that are happening now, like Brahman showed the way in that way that you can make.
It did.
By making
he was the first, and he was the first director to, put up pretty much like along with Brahman and his other films straight to Netflix. He was the first filmmaker to do that. And now it's like that's the game, that's the race.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone is doing that. Like it's what you have to do. So
quite the visionary he is.
So you have to we all have to, and I think that's what again working with Q was so amazing for me, and the fact that I got a debut with him, and again he's so amazing to work with in terms of like just being on set. He just lets you do what you want. He's very open. He's beautiful. Like it's just like he trusts.
Amazing. We're trying to get him back, but I don't think it's going to happen. So, but thank you very much for joining in, and thank you for your questions. And stay tuned for the next one. Bye guys. Have a good evening.